can go without sex.
Marriage is never-ending. Oh, Jim, have you thought this through?
You hooked up with one other girl. You're like a blind man picking out his favorite porno.
Michelle, will you marry me?
Yes.
We get to have a bachelor party. American Wedding, rated R, at theaters August 1st.
Or as the poster for this film clearly states, it's the thrilling climax of the American Pie saga because raunchy sex comedy. And I miss movies like this, man. I miss when the raunchy sex comedy was the thing, and it's slowly but surely making a comeback with stuff like No Hard Feelings and a couple of other ones as of late. But I miss when they used to be the norm, and this just took me back to a good time back then. But the storyline here is that you're focusing on the wedding of Jim and Michelle, played again by Jason Biggs and Allison Hannigan, while subplot centers around Stifler and his outrageous antics, including his attempt to organize a bachelor party, teaching Jim to dance for the wedding, and competing with Finch to win the heart of Michelle's sister, Cadence, played by a young January Jones. What's notable about this movie is that this is the only film in the series that does not include a good majority of the cast of the original film. I mean, Chris Klein is not in here. Neither is Chris Owen, Mina Savari, Tara Reid, Shannon Elizabeth, Natasha Lyonne. They're all not in this movie, and I don't really know why that is. I think it would have helped the film in the long run if everybody was back for this one, but sadly it's not the case. But the film still works for what it is, because honestly, when you see everybody back in the next movie, it's great to see them again, but unfortunately they don't have a good script to work with on that one. But that movie has a number of its own problems that we'll get to later on down the road. But this, even without half the cast not in here, it's still a fun movie for what it is. And like I said, I miss these type of comedies. We don't get these type of films anymore, and when we do, they're more missed than hit. No Hard Feelings was one of those few hits that was actually one that really worked very well. Then you get something like Strays, or something like what was another one that came out not too long ago that I really did not like? The only one I can think of is Strays, and that's not really a sex comedy, but it is a raunchy comedy that just didn't work well. But you know, back then they made raunchy comedies like the American Pie movies that could be raunchy, but also can be heartfelt, can actually be a coming-of-age storyline. That's what made the first two movies work as well as they do here, and especially with this film. And I like what they did here. I like the fact that the characters do evolve. I like the fact that they're changing things around. Like, you know, Finch has to be like Stifler in order to get the attention of Michelle's sister, and Stifler has to be like Finch, like he has to be the nice guy. I like that idea that they have to basically change their personas around in order to get the attention of this one girl. And I found that kind of amusing. Like, I thought a lot of it worked. I thought the comedy still worked very well. I thought they did a pretty good job of handling this, as they thought that this was going to... They really did think that this was going to be the last time these characters would be together. And, you know, I said before that it would have been nice to see everybody back in here, but with the fact that they got half the guys that they did here, they still did a very good job of handling it very well. I thought they did a pretty good job of having everybody in here and making it work as well as they did. I like the additions of Fred Willard in here. January Jones is very fun as well. Like, it's still everything that I really like about the original American Pie trilogy put into this film, and it's just a really fun film. It's a film that definitely delivers what it promises. It gives you everything that you want and then some. Plus, it also helps that you have a director like Jesse Dillon, who had just done How High, which is a great comedy in its own right. But this is a film that I really liked a lot. I thought it was very well done. I think it's a very fun film. It's definitely one of the reasons why I love the American Pie trilogy so much. It's a fun trilogy on its own. And like I said, when American Reunion came around, it was just kind of like, yeah, like everybody's back in here, but they just didn't. It just felt like they were really pushing their luck with that one, and that one didn't work out so well. So I like that when this came out, it was just like, it felt like, okay, this is a perfect place to end it off. Just end it there. And then of course they followed up with the direct-to-DVD sequels, which vary depending on which one you pick. I mean, some of them are okay. None of them are really spectacular, but some are better than others. Yeah, like I said, American Wedding, I liked it. I thought it was a ton of fun. I like the original trilogy as its own, and then after that, it's very hit and miss. So with that said, let's get to the comedy that came out that was not the big hit. In fact, was very much the thing that almost killed Ben Affleck's career. I mean, his career took a huge nosedive in the next 2 to 3 years after this came out, and that is, of course, Geely.
Read to me, Larry.
What?
Oh, come on, Larry. Read to him.
I got nothing here.
You don't have a book. For well over a century, the adventurous flavor of Tabasco sauce has fired up generations of thrill seekers. Okay?
It was good.
This may be a good time to suggest that you not allow the seeds of cruel hope to sprout in your soul.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds beautiful.
It means you're not my type. Good night.
Good night.
New, our best Charmin ever. Charmin Ultra Double Roll.
And that right there was pretty much all the best stuff from the movie. Pretty much the stuff that I kind of chuckled at, but chuckle is the highest mark of laughter I got from this. This is a film that is notoriously bad for many different reasons, but just reading the plot alone, the plot alone, I think, pretty much sums up why this movie is bad. You have Geely, played by Ben Affleck, who's a lowly and inept hitman who's assigned a job by the mob to kidnap an intellectually disabled brother of a California district attorney, played by Justin Bertha, the guy who kept getting kidnapped in the Hangover movies, by the way. Geely abducts the brother from his mental hospital and holds him hostage in his apartment, and then Ricky, a lesbian assassin played by Jennifer Lopez, is sent to oversee Geely's job and make sure he doesn't screw it up. Comedic hijinks ensue as the two go on the lam and start to fall in love, even though she's a lesbian and it's one of those movies where poorly represents gay and lesbians. Like, there was that time during around this time period when very rarely did you get a positive gay or lesbian character in a number of different things. Like, Will and Grace had the mixture of kind of both, and then there were just these movies and TV shows that were just kind of like do the typical stereotypes. And here's an example of a movie that is just a disastrous mess on so many levels. I mean, from the production standpoint, Halle Berry was initially going to be the lead in this, but she turned it down to do X-Men 2. And then Jennifer Lopez got $12 million to do the film. And then they shot this in December of 2001. And then the original ending was supposed to be that Geely was supposed to get killed, but negative responses from a test screening basically forced the film to be reshot and re-edited. And you know how that goes, because, I mean, this is and then, of course, you have the fact that Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez were a couple at this time. Remember, this was the time when they said that they wanted to do the remake of Casablanca, and then they said, you're out of your... And then the people behind Casablanca said, you're out of your fucking mind if we're going to let you do that, especially after this. And then, just the whole idea of this movie is so stupid. It's a stupid film that just... Like, you have Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, who were a couple at the time. And yet, their chemistry in this movie is abysmal. I could not believe how bad their chemistry is in this movie. When they're together, they are together in real life at this point. Like, how do you not have a relationship in real life that works on the big screen as well? It baffles me. And what's even more baffling about this, guess how much the budget for this movie was? I just looked at this. $75.6 million. Where did that money go? I mean, who else is in this movie? Besides Al Pacino and Christopher Walken. You got two Oscar winners there. In fact, Al Pacino you barely even see in the film, so why the hell is he even in this? Christopher Walken does what Christopher Walken does, but other than that, though, where did $75 million go? Like, where did all that money go? I mean, okay, let's take into account Jennifer Lopez's $12 million. That's still $63 million. Where did $63 million go? Just like... And the sad part is, it's the last thing Martin Brest ever directed, too. Remember, this is the guy that did Beverly Hills Cop. This is the guy that directed Midnight Run. This is the guy that directed Son of a Woman. And his career just ended after this. Like, that's how bad this movie was. This is like Ben Affleck's Ishtar. It was a thing that killed his career for a number of years. Like, we're going to get to some movies that were not big hits from him, movies that had big budgets behind them, films that just made you go like, what the hell were you thinking when you decided to do this? Wait until we get to Surviving Christmas. That's a hell of a doozy right there. But there is a positive to this whole thing, because let's be honest, if Ben Affleck didn't make this movie, he would have probably never become the director that he became. I mean, starting his career renaissance 3 years after this. I mean, you know, it started off with Hollywoodland, which was a movie that we'll get to these movies eventually. But Hollywoodland, I thought, was a good start in the right direction. Then he directs Gone Baby Gone. He shows what he can do as a director there. Then he does The Town, a great film, and then he does Argo, which gets him a Best Picture win at the Oscars. And you know, his career slowly but surely is back on the rise again after that. But there really was a point at this when this film came out that everyone thought that his career was over. I mean, he already had an Oscar for writing Good Will Hunting, so I don't think anybody would have been really that surprised if his career did come to an end after that. But like I said, if it wasn't for this, he wouldn't have become the director that we know him to be, a great director overall. I mean, look at what he just did with Air last year. I mean, this is a guy that still has a lot of talent to him. And, Jennifer Lopez is not a bad actress. I mean, these are two people that are more than capable of starring in good movies and showing that they have the ability to act. But in this case, no, this is just a sloppy mess of a film that was just bad from the get-go, and it was just doomed on arrival. Keep in mind, really, we should have known right off the bat that this thing was bad, because it started in late 2001 and didn't get released until August of 2003. For a film like this that's not a blockbuster caliber movie, take the budget out of it. Like, if it was, you wouldn't be waiting that long to put this movie out in theaters like this. It's a mess of a film. It's one of the worst movies ever made for a good reason. It's a film that nearly killed the career of Ben Affleck and director, and did kill the career of Martin Brest, the director. And it was just a colossal failure on so many levels. What more do I gotta say? Freaking Geely, man. Avoid it like the plague.
I want you to put together a young, top-notch team for me, Dan. You select them, you train them, you mold them. I'm beginning to like this guy already. That's why.
We're awaiting the arrival of an international fugitive.
Family's fortune is estimated in the billions of dollars. I would give $100 million to whoever gets me out of here. You for real or what, Holmes? $100 million! Montella's escaping. Okay, guys, this is what we're trained for. You will be ready for anyone and anything.
So SWAT, of course, is based off the 1975 TV series, which was a hit back in the day. Ran for 2 seasons on ABC and then got canceled. Not because the show was not doing well critically or ratings-wise. Mostly it was canceled because of its depiction of violence, which ultimately led to its cancellation of a third year in general, despite the fact the show was still very popular. And you still see a lot of homages and references even in many movies and TV shows to this very day. So this is, of course, the featured film version of that series, where you have Samuel L. Jackson, Colin Farrell, Michelle Rodriguez, LL Cool J, Josh Charles, Jeremy Renner, Brian Van Holt, Olivia Martinez, a part of the cast, you have Jackson and a SWAT team. They are tasked to escort an imprisoned drug kingpin international fugitive to prison after he offers $100 million to anyone who can break him out of police custody. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a $100 million reward. I mean, that's my favorite. That's my favorite line from the whole trailer. Just the way he says the line, $100 million. $100 million. It's just like, I could just see Olivia Martinez reading that line and thinking to himself, I could go the Dr. Evil route with it, but no, I have to be more cartoonishly evil than Dr. Evil was. So I'll just go like $100 million. It's like, that's my favorite line from the whole movie, honestly. I say that like the film is bad or anything. It's a competently made film. I mean, it's a film that I went to go see in theaters when it was out. I mean, I remember seeing it back then. I've very rarely gone back to it, not because I thought the movie was bad or anything. It's just I never really had the will to go back and watch it again, just because I just had other things I needed to do. I mean, quite honestly, I've never had any real intentions of going back to watching it. I just watched it again not too long ago to get ready for this, and it does still hold up a little bit. I think the cast overall is very good. I think it's cool to see guys like Jeremy Renner and Michelle Rodriguez before they became who they eventually became. It's cool to see Brian Van Holt before he made it big with Cougar Town in this, and you got LL Cool J, Colin Farrell, Josh Charles, a lot of good people involved in here. Sometimes the action sequences are very hit and miss. Sometimes you get some really cool action scenes. The climax I thought was kind of cool. You can tell this was written by David Ayer, because there's a lot of his tropes all over this film. It's just a film that I remember seeing it. I remember kind of like it back in the day. Never really had any real intentions of going to seeing it. I'm watching it again. Then 20 years later, watching it again. I thought it still was about as much as I remember it. A fun movie for what it is, but it's one that I will probably never watch again unless there's nothing else on. I mean, it's a movie that's just kind of like, I like it, but it's one I have never had any real intentions of watching multiple times, like many other movies. Like, I'd rather watch Bad Boys 2 multiple times for obvious reasons more than I would watch SWAT. I mean, come to think of it, I think when I did Bad Boys 2, I think I got the actor who plays the villain and after I'm confused with this one, because I swear they both sound the same, but I don't know if I did, but Jordi Mola is the villain in Bad Boys 2, and Olivier Martinez is the villain in SWAT, and I don't know, I feel like I got that wrong, but if I didn't, then just disregard what I just said, but if I did, I apologize, but yeah, not much more to say about this one. SWAT, decent flick, nothing too spectacular, nothing too amazing, but fine for what it is. So let's get to probably the best film that came out this weekend overall, and that is another remake, this time of a movie, and that is Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan in the classic Freaky Friday.
Anna, honey, wake up. I have had it. Hurry up. Look, I'm ready.
We're the Coleman family.
Bye, honey. Make good choices.
Mondays are manic.
I can't believe it. It's Jake. He's not looking. He's totally looking.
Wednesdays are wild. And for Anna and Tess, there's never enough time to really understand each other.
What? Time's up. Dr. Sick. You're ripping my life.
But on Friday,
You think my life is perfect? You couldn't last one day in my high school. Cookie.
that's all about to change. Because things are going to get a little freaky.
Why am I in Anna's room? This isn't mine. That's not mine. That's definitely not mine. So, you're in my body and I'm in your body. Oh! I beg your pardon. Oh, I'm like the Crypt Keeper! Honey! Could you like chill for a sec? I want my body back! My wedding's tomorrow. I can't marry Ryan. Ew!
Platinum Crook.
Don't even think about it.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
This thong is killing me.
Lindsay Lohan.
Great bike. What? Not like I've ever been on it. I'm not allowed.
Walt Disney Pictures presents a movie about what it takes
I can't do this. What do you mean?
to make someone else's dream
Do something.
come true.
And what you see is what you lack. And selfless love will change your heart. Why don't we like... Yes, I jumped. Go. Oh. Okay, that was stupid.
Freaky Friday.
We're in Terry's school.
I can walk from here. It's 20 blocks. Run fast.
You had one job, Freaky Friday. Open on a Friday. You don't open this on a Wednesday. But this did open up on a Wednesday, I guess because, you know, school was getting ready to start, and so they wanted to get all the teens and kids into the theaters as they could before the school year started. I mean, that's probably the only reason why they did it, but still. The movie's called Freaky Friday. There's no reason why they should have opened up on a Wednesday, except for what I just mentioned. But this is Freaky Friday, the third adaptation of the story, fifth overall in the Freaky Friday series, and this time you have Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. Straightforward remake where you have them as a mother and daughter, respectively, whose bodies are switched by a mysterious and magical Chinese fortune cookie, and they have to live their lives in each other's bodies. So Lindsay Lohan has to live in the body of Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis has to live in the body of Lindsay Lohan until they can eventually come together in the end and, you know, sing Kumbaya, pretty much. I mean, it's a straightforward story, but like with most body switch comedies, I'm really starting to notice it with a lot of the body switch movies, like, you know, Big, and we just talked about Vice Versa on Flashback, not just yesterday. 13 going on 30, 30 coming up is very similar, 17 again. These movies really do take you by surprise because, like I said, there's stories we've seen done to death, and there's been times when it definitely has not worked. The Change-Up is the perfect example of that, like Father, Like Son, 18 again. But then you get something like this, where it's just like, you know, it's a breath of fresh air, and it just shows you what Lindsay Lohan really does bring to the table as a leading actress. This is where her career really began to take off, and then it would help that she would reunite with this director again the following year for Mean Girls. But this was the movie that really showed everybody that Lindsay Lohan really does have some great acting chops overall, but this was, of course, before she became notorious for breaking the law all the time. And, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis. What more can you say about her? She's an Academy Award winner now, so... But they do a great job working off each other. There's a great cast overall in the film. Mark Harmon, who was just about to hit it big with NCIS the following fall. And then you have people like Chad Michael Murray, Stephen Tobolowsky, Christina Vidal, Julia Gonzalo, Dina Walters, Lily Garson. I thought the kid in this was the kid from 2.5 Men, but again, that's we've already had him in another movie where he was the kid in that film, bringing down the house. But no, this is not that same kid. I mean, even he's got a lot of personality to him. Ryan Malgarini, I don't know if he's done anything else since then, but he really is very good in the film. The film overall, it's a fun, lighthearted film. It's a film that knows exactly what it needs to do to entertain the audience. It doesn't need to be groundbreaking or anything spectacular, but it shows you what Lindsay Lohan can do as a leading actress. Jamie Lee Curtis still doing what she does best. Still a lot of very funny stuff. Great direction by Mark Waters. Just not much more I can say about this one. It's a really good film. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It's a great film. Can't recommend it enough. Freaky Friday. So let's go ahead and move on to the last one we have here. Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts in Merchant Ivory's latest film, Le Divorce.
You meet somebody, do you say bonjour, monsieur, or just bonjour?
What sort of a stupid question is that?
This spring, 2 young Americans are learning about love, Parisian style.
You're a beautiful young woman. We must decide if you will become my mistress.
What do you mean, become your mistress? Didn't anyone ever tell you not to accept expensive gifts from men? It puts you in the position of having to do what he wants. Do it anyway.
Fox Searchlight Pictures presents
You in love?
a new film based on the New York Times bestseller, starring Kate Hudson, Naomi Watts, Glenn Close, Stockard Channing, Leslie Caron, Sam Waterston, and Bebe Neuwirth. Directed by James Ivory and produced by Ismail Merchant.
You are smiling too much. Too much smiling gets a girl in trouble.
Le Divorce. Everything sounds sexier
Je ne sais pas, le bleu.
in French.
I mean, you just showed Kate Hudson some sexy French lingerie. I mean, that's more than enough to sell me on this movie, even though it's funny that this film is probably one of the more noteworthy later Merchant Ivory films, and yet it's one of their worst reviewed ones, which, really, if you look at most of their movies, I mean, this is one of those ones where I'd honestly say that the fact that this is one of the worst reviewed ones, I think that that's completely over-exaggerated, but the story of this movie is that you have the differences in legalities and cultural morals in French and Americans regarding sex, love, marriage, and religion, and family bonds. And they're presented throughout the interactions of these two families related by marriage. You have an American played by Kate Hudson, who heads to Paris to visit her half-sister, played by Naomi Watts, who is pregnant with her second child. Isabelle arrives to find that Roxy's French husband, Charles-Henri de Pizan, played by Melville Poupard, I think I'm pronouncing that right, has just left her, and the sisters later learn that he has fallen in love with another woman who is married. Roxy and Charles Henry deal with their breakup. Roxy doesn't want it, but must face its legal consequences, including determining the ownership of a possibly valuable French painting that has been casually in the Walker family for years, for which Roxy has had her in her possession since she got married. Meanwhile, Isabelle begins to explore all that France offers, including embarks on sexual relations with 2 men. One is Charles Henry's older maternal uncle, the wealthy and well-appointed Edgar Cosset, played by Thierry Lhermitte. Again, I might be mispronouncing these names, who's also married and who's using the same playbook on her that he has had on countless women before her. As groups of individuals within the two families disagree and argue about certain issues that are facing them, It does not necessarily affect other issues and relationships between the two families based on their priorities and their cultural and legal standards. But yeah, when I heard this was one of the worst reviewed films from them, it's just like, this is probably the best film they've done since The Remains of the Day, almost 10 years ago. I mean, I can't think of another movie that they've done in between those films where it really does live up to, you know, what you expect from Merchant Ivory when they're absolute best. I mean, James Ivory himself has spun off into his own, actually winning an Oscar for Call Me By Your Name for writing the screenplay for that movie. But this is a movie I really enjoy. I think it's mostly because I like the city of Paris. Midnight in Paris is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think because of that, I look at this movie, and while this is nowhere near as good as Midnight in Paris, there's just so much to admire about the visual cinematography of the film. The cast is great. Kate Hudson, Naomi Watts, Leslie Caron, Stockard Channing, Glenn Close, Stephen Fry, Matthew Modine, Bebe Neuwirth, Sam Watterson, Tom Lennon from Reno 911. Just a phenomenal cast overall. The romantic elements are really good, and the film does a very good job of handling both the comedic and the dramatic aspects and balancing them out in a way that works in the film's favor in the long run. Plus, for Kate Hudson, come on. It's better than the last romantic comedy she was in, Alex and Emma. I mean, you gotta give me that. I mean, you gotta give us that, at least. But really, there's not much more you can add to this film that hasn't already been said. I mean, it's a film that I think is severely overlooked. I think it's a film that doesn't get the right respect that it deserves. I think it's honestly, the more I think about it, it's probably one of my favorite Merchant Ivory movies. I mean, it's right up there with stuff like Howard's End, The Remains of the Day, A Room with a View. What's another one that they did that I really liked? I think that might be it. I don't really like a lot of Merchant Ivory movies because I think most of them are kind of pretentious. Most of them aren't really all as good as they should be. I mean, they've got the great talent involved in it, but just the films themselves don't really live up to what their potential should be. But like I said, it's up there with stuff like Howard's End and The Remains of the Day as some of the better ones. One I think is severely underrated. It's one that I think you should definitely give it a shot. Even if you're not the biggest Merchant Ivory fan, which I'm not. I found a lot to really admire about this film. It's just, I thought it worked very well. I think it's a very underrated film. I highly recommend it. Le Divorce. Or as Box Office Mojo calls it, The Divorce. And you might be thinking, okay, that's not the same movie, but no, it's the same movie, and I don't get that whatsoever. I mean, but yeah, if you thought I was joking yesterday when I said that was like that on Box Office Mojo, there you go. But so that's going to wrap up this episode, and here's just a sneak preview of what we're going to take a look at on the next episode. And we've got some interesting films, to say the least. Freddy vs. Jason. We have Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees duking it out. The Nightmare on Elm Street Friday the 13th crossover we've been waiting for. Kevin Costner makes probably one of his most underrated movies as a director, Open Range. Brittany Murphy stars in Uptown Girls with Dakota Fanning. Oh, this one I remember seeing in theaters. Yeah, I went to go see... Sorry about that. I went to go see Grind in theaters, so I have some memories of that one. Not the most memorable ones. In fact, most of the time, I think I've forgotten most of it, honestly, but I'll try to remember some of it when we talk about that on the next episode. Anything else here that I'm missing? Let's see. Oh, American Splendor with Paul Giamatti. So, and is that it? Yeah, I guess that's it. So we got 5 movies to look at on the next episode. We always do. We will take a look at all 5 of those on that next episode. I'm betting on a draw because technically there's no real winner in this, but I mean, but you do get to see Freddy and Jason beat the crap out of each other at some point during the movie, but But, of course, this was a film that was in development for a long period of time. In fact, 1987, this was supposed to be... The original plan was for there to be a Friday the 13th movie with Freddy Krueger crossing over. I think it was back in 87. And New Line and Paramount really wanted to make one, but they couldn't get to an agreement made. And essentially, the whole idea fell apart shortly afterward. But eventually came back around when New Line had picked up Friday the 13th from Paramount. And so they spent a number of years hyping this up. And, of course, in Jason Goes to Hell the Final Friday, they set it up for, you know, the Freddy glove to grab the Jason mask, assuming that, yes, this was actually going to happen. They've been trying to do it for a number of years, and it was mostly script problems all the way through, but then we finally get it done here in 2003 with this film in particular. And you have Freddy and Jason. Freddy is weakened. Freddy, once again played by Robert Englund, by the way, and forgotten because the citizens of his hometown Springwood have defeated him by using medications that repossess dreams. And Freddy awakens Jason, disguising himself, of all things, as his mother, to stir up fear and grow his powers so he may return and kill again. But Jason turns out to be not as easily controlled as Freddy initially thought, and the two supernatural mass murderers come into conflict, and at some point they will beat the crap out of each other. And when they do, it's pretty freaking awesome. But again, it's very few and far between. And the film itself as a whole does work for what they're trying to accomplish here. If you're just going in there for Freddy and Jason beating each other up, they will do it eventually, but you'll have to wait for it to happen. But the stuff that goes on in between is a mix of very funny stuff and stuff we've seen done over and over again. Like, there's a surprisingly amount of good comedy in this. Like, when Freddy's coming back and he's trying to kill people, and, like, there's this one scene where one of the guys is, like, he sees Freddy, and Freddy turns into a shadow creature, and, like, he's trying to attack him. And, like, the guy's just around here just, like, moving around because his power is not fully... Freddy's power isn't fully intact, and the guy's just like, I'm okay, bye, and just walks away. And then Freddy's just like, not strong enough yet. And then it doesn't matter because later on down the road, Jason eventually kills him. Not but a few minutes later, honestly. But yeah, most of the main characters in here are not that great. The only ones I really do remember, honestly, are, you know, Monica Keena and also Jason Ritter, of course, Dipper from Gravity Falls. You also have Kelly Rowland in here, playing the token black girl in this. Chris Marquette, Lachlan Monroe. There are decent people involved in the cast here, but they're just kind of stock characters in general here. They try to have the storyline where they make it seem like they give Monica Keena's character a big role in here because, you know, Freddy. We find out later on that Freddy's the one that actually killed her. I think her mother. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was his mother, and they kind of set it up as like this is supposed to be this big twist here, like this is supposed to be something for Keena's character to get revenge off of. But I mean, it really didn't feel necessary to put in there. Even the stuff when, yeah, it's cool to see Freddy and Jason fighting, but they also they also try to add in the elements that they had from the last Friday the 13th movie, Jason Takes Manhattan. Okay, maybe not the third to last Jason movie. Because we had Jason Goes to Hell and then Jason X, but, you know, in Jason Takes Manhattan, of course, they set it up that they made it assume, it's like they beat Jason, and all of a sudden he just reverts back to being a kid again, and it's just like they bring that back in here kind of pointlessly, honestly. It doesn't really add into anything, per se, in terms of the overall storyline. The story is all over the place. Like, it really is a mixed bag in terms of the story department, but when it's Freddy versus Jason, it delivers on that. It's fun to see these two characters going at each other, and yeah, you might not be too impressed with the fact that they don't have a winner in this, but really the real winner in this is the audience that wants to see these two icons go at it, and I think you get your money's worth on that front there. If you're going in there expecting a great classic movie like the original Friday the 13th or A Nightmare on Elm Street, you're going to be very disappointed by it. But if you just want to see, you know, these two iconic characters crossing over and showing up in a movie together, you do get that, and it's fun for that matter alone. If you're going in there for high storytelling, you're looking at the wrong type of film. If you want to see Robert Englund the last time he plays Freddy Krueger and, you know, him beating up Jason Voorhees in one way or the other, you definitely get it here. So it's a mixed opinion, but it's fun for what it is. It's a fun film. Delivers what it promises. Could have added more to it to make it something that you had to see, but for what it is, you do get your money's worth when it's all said and done. So that is Freddy vs. Jason. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Kevin Costner's Western, Open Range.
Beautiful country. Man can get lost out here. Forget there's people and things that ain't so simple as this. How long have we been riding together, Charlie?
10 years.
You know what they call that? They call it a decade.
I always hoped somebody gentle and caring might come along.
I'm not who you think I am, Sue.
My name's Denton Baxter. You know, folks around these parts don't take the freak razors. Always been country plenty for man and beast. Times change, Mr. Spearman.
Most time a man will tell you his bad intentions if you listen. Got yourself here. Reckon them cows worth getting killed over?
Cows is one thing. But one man telling another man where he can go in this country is something else. The lawman, she sat in that jailhouse sort of sneering, sticks in my craw.
Whole town knows there's a fight coming. I just hope it don't spill over to them.
Max's men bushwhacked our friend, shot him dead, shot a 16-year-old boy, too, and clubbed him so hard he might not live.
I got no problem with killing boss. Never have. Men are gonna get killed here today soon. But I'm gonna kill them.
The man's got a right to protect his property and his life, and we ain't letting no rancher or his lawman take either.
I want you to know that if I don't ever see you again, that I meant everything I said to you. Appreciate everything you said to me.
You should have run when you had the chance, Spearman.
And the one killed our friend?
That's right.
Get out of this house!
You may not know this, but there's things that gnaw on a man worse than dying.
So, fun fact, this was actually my introduction to Kevin Costner, and I'd never seen Dances with Wolves before this, but I saw the trailers for Open Range back in the day, and it made me want to see the movie really, really well. I mean, though, like I said, I talked about it a long time ago with Unforgiven. I wasn't a big Western fan, but I saw that movie, and then I saw Open Range. I think Open Range was the movie that opened my eyes to what a good Western could be like, and I remember seeing it and really admiring it for what it was trying to accomplish here. The story here is that you have Boss Spearman, played by Robert Duvall, and his co-hands, Charlie, Kevin Costner, and Mose, Abraham Ben Ruby. They're driving cattle along a large expanse of country when Mose ventures into a sparse village to buy a few necessities, and he's met with violent hostility from Denton Baxter, played by Michael Gambon, an affluent landowner, and his right-hand man, Poole, played by James Russo. When Mose doesn't come back, Boss and Charlie realize he's in trouble, so they plot to get him back and get revenge on those who captured him. And for Kevin Costner, this was a big return to form for him after The Postman, the last movie he directed, which was a big, big flop for him. And it was a movie that he really needed, because he had a series of films that were not that successful. Like Wyatt Earp was a Western that he did, which was not the biggest success. Waterworld was a huge flop. Message in a Bottle was a film that didn't work out well. I mean, this shows you why Kevin Costner works as well as he does as a director, and it's a really good movie. It was a film I really, really enjoyed a lot. Like, it was a movie that, like I said, it brought me the idea that, hey, Westerns can be good, and here's an example, and this was the film that made me realize maybe I should start looking at some more Westerns, because I didn't like a lot of Westerns back in the day up until I saw this particular film. I mean, it really did open my eyes to it, and it worked because of the great cast. Costner's great, Duvall's great, Annette Bening is really good in here. The action's very good. I mean, it's a good modern Western film, and I guess in a way it might actually help me get a little bit more excited for this new Western he's got coming up at the time of this recording, Horizon: An American Saga, which is like this big sweeping epic of his. Like, he's got like 4 movies planned for this, with the first 2 coming out this summer. As of right now, reviews for it have not been that great, but, I mean, watching a movie like this, if he can find a way to go back to doing something like this and Dances with Wolves with Horizon, that film's probably got a chance to really work. But even if it does, this is still a film I do recommend. It's kind of an underrated Western, honestly, because I don't hear a lot of people ever talk about it as much, but it's one that I do remember liking a lot. So I do recommend this film. It's one that you should definitely check out, Open Range. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next film, and that is Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning in Uptown Girls.
There's no one like Molly.
You're my new nanny?
She's fashionable.
What do you think?
Did your pants too?
Okay.
Excitable.
That was my idea.
Adorable.
This one's for you.
And most of all,
You're working for me. I quit.
unforgettable.
Clean door.
Brittany Murphy.
Relax, girl. How bad did you screw it up?
Uptown Girls. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, August 15th.
They've been living in a white bread world as long as anyone with hot blood can, and now they're looking for downtown men. That's what they are. That's what I am. That was a lame excuse to try to use the Billy Joel Uptown Girls song for this, but I mean, how can I not with a title called Uptown Girls? But this is Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning, and Brittany Murphy is this naive daughter of a famous rock musician who, after learning her inheritance has been embezzled, finds herself employed as a nanny for a precocious hypochondriac girl played by Dakota Fanning in Manhattan. And this also has Heather Locklear and Donald Faison. This is directed by Boz Yakin, who did Remember the Titans. So talk about a radical change from Remember the Titans to a film of this caliber. But this is one of those movies, kind of like with Just Married, a film that works mostly because of what Brittany Murphy brings to the table for it. I think she really is the strongest thing about the movie. The problem is the rest of the film just doesn't work as well as it should. I mean, the writing itself is not that great. The chemistry, I think the chemistry between her and Dakota Fanning works fine on its own. I think that's the one thing that does carry the film to a level I would say makes it worth a watch, because I do like seeing these two characters together, but it's a story we've seen done to death so many times before. It doesn't really amount to anything. The moral of the story is that the mother should be involved with her daughter more. I mean, that type of thing. It's just like, okay, I know where this is going, and unfortunately, it does go down that route. But it's a film that works just on those two levels, like with Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning, the two things that really hold the movie together. Other than that, though, the rest of the film itself is pretty lame, and it's a really lackluster film in general. It doesn't really have anything that makes it worth it in the end. It's just like, it's a film that has grown a following over the years. In fact, after Brittany Murphy died, a lot of people have come back and realized that there's something there. In fact, I'm seeing here, it's described as like a 2000s classic, which, I don't know. I just don't see it. It's kind of like with Sweet Home Alabama, and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, or 2 Weeks Notice. Those movies, just like those films. Or Made in Manhattan is what I'm thinking of. Like, I think it's not as good as people make it out to be, and it just doesn't work because you've got two great leading actresses in here, but unfortunately you don't have a good script for them to work off of. And to me, that's where the film kind of hurts in the long run. Not that the film is bad or anything. It's just, I mean, Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning are doing the best they can, but even they can't hold this thing together enough for me to say it's something you should check out. I mean, if you really, really want to see it, you're probably only going to find the two leading performances the strongest thing about it. But other than that, there's nothing of value to this whatsoever. So, speaking of movies that don't have much value to it, Grind. This was a film that I saw in theaters. I saw it back when it came out, and I don't remember liking it back then, but you know what? It's been over 20 years. Maybe the film's gotten better since then.
I'm in a dry spell, man.
If you're in a dry spell, you've had to been in a wet spell.
Who's making these rules, man? It's time to be discovered.
Live fast. Play hard. Get the moron out of the pool. Die laughing.
I just got violated by a lizard, man. Actually, that felt kind of good. Grind. I represent the Release of Twins Foundation.
What are you talking about?
Releasing those twins.
So gross.
Look for it on DVD and video.
Or don't. You shouldn't be looking for this on DVD or video, because after 20 years of waiting to find out if this movie held up, I can tell you that, nope. Didn't like it back then, don't like it now. You have, the story here is that you have Mike Vogel, Vince Valuth, Adam Brody, and Joey Kern as 4 teenage aspiring amateur skaters trying to make it in the world of pro skateboarding by pulling insane stunts in front of their pro skater idol. It says it was critically panned and flopped at the box office, and quite frankly, I can't imagine why that was the case, because let's be honest, the movie was not that great. I mean, it's a film that is kind of boring. I mean, you really have to be into skateboarding to know who half the people are here. Even though they got half the guys, some guys from Jackass here, you know, Aaron McGehee, Jason Acuna, Preston Lacey's in here, Tom Green. Excuse me. Yeah, other than that, this is a film that can't even afford to get Tony Hawk in there, the most well-known skater of all time, and they can't even get him in this film. And like, that just really has you know, that just kind of shows you what the movie is kind of like here. The movie just isn't funny. Oh, and Bam Margera's in here too. I forgot to mention that. But there is a decent cast involved in here too. I mean, it's not like these people are bad actors. I mean, I've seen Vince Vaughn be funny and stuff like Rat Race. You know, Adam Brody, he's a good actor. Jennifer Morrison's a great actress. Jason London's in here. You know, you got Stephen Root, Christopher McDonald, Brian Posehn, Dave Foley, Randy Quaid's in here. I mean, there is talent all throughout the film. Bobcat Goldthwait. So it's not devoid of talent per se, but there's just nothing in here to make them funny. I mean, it's kind of like with Uptown Girls. You get all this talent here, and you got nothing to show for it. It's a film that just really just feels like a film that was trying to be the product of its time, and like, even people who love skateboarding would probably hate this movie. I mean, I've never heard anybody really say, "Hey, you gotta see that movie Grind." Like, it's just, there's nobody ever really says that, because the film is not that funny. It's not that funny. It's not that clever per se. It's a film that it's a PG-13 raunchy comedy at some points, where, of course, that's not going to work, and it just doesn't hold up, man. It's not funny at all. Like, I try to find some value into it. Even for nostalgic's sake, I just couldn't do it, man. This is a film that just really was just a sloppy mess from the very beginning, and just, quite frankly, now that I think about it, I don't even know why the hell I wanted to go see this when it came out. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, it just didn't work for me per se, so yeah. That's a hard pass on that one. So let's go ahead and move on to, I believe we're at our last movie here, and that is, yes, Paul Giamatti in American Splendor.
Never felt more like a sellout hack in my life. I'm still a file clerk. I have always been a file clerk.
Could you get me some water if you ask me?
What, are you got a headache?
No, but I want to avoid one.
You should try believing in something bigger than yourself. It might cheer you up.
What, are we, she depressed?
And thus we have probably the best overall film of the entire weekend, where you chronicle the life of comic book writer Harvey Pekar, who's played here by Paul Giamatti, and the story follows him and Joyce Brabner, and it's a biography about their lives, based on the 1976 to 2008 comic book series of the same name, and also the graphic novel Our Cancer Year. And Pekar is a file clerk at his local VA hospital. His interactions with his co-workers offer some relief from the monotony, and their discussions encompass everything from music to the decline of American culture to new flavors of jelly beans and life itself. At home, Harvey fills his days with reading, writing, and listening to jazz. His apartment is filled with thousands of books and LPs, and he regularly scours Cleveland thrift stores and garage sales for more, saving the rare joy of a 25-cent find. Can't argue with him about that, but it's at one of these junk sales that Harvey meets Robert Crumb, a greeting card artist and musical enthusiast. And this was also, Robert Crumb, by the way, also was the subject of a really great documentary by Terry Zwigoff, Crumb. But when years later, Crumb finds international success for his underground comics, the idea that comic books can be a valid art form for adults inspires Harvey to write his own brand of comic book. An admirer of naturalist writers like Theodore Dreiser, Harvey makes his American Splendor a truthful, unsentimental record of his working-class life and a warts-and-all self-portrait. First published in 1976, the comic earns Harvey cult fame throughout the 1980s, and eventually leads into the sardonic Doris Barber, a partner in the Delaware comic book store, who ends up becoming Harvey's true soulmate as they experience the bizarre byproducts of Harvey's cult celebrity stature. And it's really a good movie, and I'm really surprised. And I think these directors, well, they have done other stuff though. They've done these two directors, Sherry Springer Berman and Robert Puccini. They've done some stuff that has not been as successful as this one. This is probably their best overall film. Like, they did The Nanny Diaries with Scarlett Johansson that came out a couple years later, and I can't believe that's the directors, because it just doesn't feel like a movie made by these people that made this film. This is a great movie. Like, it combines a mix of animation, live action, with great performances by Paul Giamatti and Hope Davis. You also have Judah Freelander, who's a great comedic actor. The writing is top notch. It's got this, self-depremental comedy to it, and that's the kind of comedy I like. I mean, Conan O'Brien's made a living out of that. So is Norm Macdonald, Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, that's my type of comedy that I really love so much, and it's in this movie. And it's just a fun film to watch these performances, to watch these actors play these characters, and to watch this world come together in various ways, shapes, and forms. And it's just, even if you're not a big Harvey Pekar fan, I know I'm certainly not. I've never read most of his work. You can watch this and have no problem sticking with the storyline, because you can find a lot to really relate yourself to what's going on in this guy's life. Like, he's trying to find purpose for his life, and he finds it, and it's just an amazing film, man. It's a film that I can't recommend enough. If you haven't seen American Splendor, you're doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so. Definitely check it out. I highly recommend it.
You're looking at the second most powerful weapon on the planet.
Get ready yet.
Is the first. I'm sorry. The adventure is alive and kicking. Just yet.
Sorry.
The medallion.
Ready for round two?
Theaters everywhere August 20th.
So technically, this is a movie about a second banana, which is a rare thing where the second banana gets the title role in the movie, but apparently Jackie Chan is the ultimate weapon here, and kind of true, but he's not good enough to save this movie, unfortunately. He plays a Hong Kong police officer hired by Interpol to capture a criminal known as Snakehead, who's a crime lord played by the late Julian Sands, and stop him from kidnapping a chosen boy with special powers, a medallion that gives him superhero powers and immortality. And, hi, Golden Child. This is literally the same plot as The Golden Child. I mean, it's literally the same plot as The Golden Child, except instead of Eddie Murphy, it's Jackie Chan. And it's not as good as The Golden Child. And that one didn't have the top action star of the world in that one. It had one of the top comedians at the time in it, and that's still a better movie than this film is. I mean, what else do they have in this movie? The girlfriend from Mallrats. What can I remember his name now? Jeremy London's character from that movie, T.S. I think Brandy was the name of her in this, and also we have the sidekick from Mouse Hunt too. Yay! I mean, The Tuxedo was not a very good movie, but The Tuxedo at least had a good idea to it, just bad execution all around. This is a film that just feels like it's just like scrambling to just find anything to make it worth watching in the end, and it's just, nothing in it works, unfortunately. Even Jackie Chan can't really save this movie from being anything too spectacular, and it's just, it feels like a film that almost could have been something special, but it felt like a film that was heavily messed around because of the studio interference. And, this thing really is not that inventive whatsoever. It's not really all that inspiring. It doesn't have that many great, memorable action sequences. It just feels kind of pointless. It just feels like a film that, it kind of reminds me of Bulletproof Monk, a film that had some higher ambitions to it, but it just feels like a missed opportunity all around. In fact, this is almost kind of like the same movie as Bulletproof Monk, except replace Chow Yun-fat, Sean William Scott, and Jamie King with Jackie Chan, Lee Evans, and Claire Forlani. I mean, it's pretty much the same movie. I mean, this movie is so much of a ripoff of so many other better films. Like, okay, better may not be the best way to say it, but at least Bulletproof Monk was at least tolerable, and The Golden Child at least had an idea to it. But that movie was a better film, though. The Golden Child was. But this just feels like a wasted opportunity, and it feels like a film that is clearly set for the dumping months. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is the one I went to see in theaters that weekend. The one I do remember, and that is My Boss's Daughter.
Tom Stansfield had one eye on a promotion.
Something wrong with the coffee? It's a little bitter.
Audrey, get in here.
Sir, really?
Audrey, well, I'm gonna have to let you go. And the other eye on the boss's daughter.
Do you have any plans tonight?
I'm wide open.
Be at my dad's house by 6?
Sure.
But just when he thought he was in for a big date,
This is your chance. Feel good? I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Well, that's good. I want you to use that, okay?
he got a big surprise.
How could you be so excited about how sweet?
He's nice, Dad.
Oh, so this is a party, stay here. Don't touch the OJ. This is OJ. OJ? Like the murderer? No. The football player. OJ Simpson. Medication. I have to shut these ties to it. Just one. The other is in seven. If anything happens to this house while I'm gone,
He's got a living with him now? Yeah, a beer in here?
actually, it's a twist. Come on! Hi, I'm Tom. This is Oprah.
Oh, these people. Invited some friends over.
I can't have all these people hanging around. Meet this here. Everything's great. Some people was able to control. Dude, that was cool. Save his job. Relax. OJ Snoops! It's still time. Let's go get back. And get the girl.
Tina thinks she's got cancer. Feel anything?
Feels good. I was just checking these girls for breast cancer.
You'll have to keep the house from falling apart. Ashton Kutcher, Tara Reid.
Stanch me up, pick me up at the airport. Oh my god, it's coming from Orlando.
My boss's daughter.
Maybe you and I never are gonna work, and that hurts. But not as much as watching you be controlled by a ruthless tyrant that would sell his own mother if he thought it'd help him get a job.
Yeah, needless to say, I did not pick the best movies to watch back then. I only really went to go see this because it involved David Zucker, who, of course, David Zucker is, of course, the guy behind Airplane and the Naked Gun movies. And, yeah, big mistake on my part for going into that one. Here you have Ashton Kutcher as a man house-sitting for his boss and getting into various hijinks with the people who come over to his place because he's also trying to woo the boss's daughter, played by Tara Reid, the boss played by Terrence Stamp. And that trailer, I think, is a perfect sum-up of everything that's pretty much wrong with this movie. It's just all over the place. They keep introducing all these different characters that are surprisingly played by a lot of notable people. I mean, you have... yeah, you got Ashton Kutcher, Tara Reid, and Terrence Stamp, but you also have Molly Shannon in here, Andy Richter, Michael Madsen, Tyler Labine, Free Reaper, John Abrams, who else is in here? David Koechner is also in here, Carmen Electra, you see, Kenan Thompson, Jeffrey Tambor, just, you know, so many different people in this movie, and they literally have nothing to do in this film. Nothing about this movie works in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't feel like a film you expect from a guy like David Zucker. And I know the Zucker brothers did other movies outside the spook movie genre back in the day, which did work. You know, stuff like Ruthless People comes to mind. And what was the other one they did? I thought they did one more. Or maybe I'm thinking of Jerry Zucker. Let me see. Maybe I'm thinking of... Jim... No, I'm thinking of someone else, because... I'm thinking of something else. I thought they also worked on Down and Out Beverly Hills, but no, they did not do that. They did do Big Business though, but this feels like one of those rare times where they do eventually go off and do something outside the spook movie genre, which could be interesting, but then again, it just ends up being a film that is just so all over the place. Like, you know, we got to have Carmen Electra in here to be in lingerie and, you know, get wet and all that type of stuff. And then there's this weird subplot where, for some reason, Tara Reid thinks that Ashton Kutcher's gay. That really does not go anywhere at all. Like, nothing about this movie goes anywhere at all. The best joke in the entire movie, we saw it in the trailer, was when, you know, the owl goes missing, and Tom just screams out, OJ is missing, and there's no time to relax. And you see the three white girls running behind her. And it's just like, that's the best joke in the entire movie. And you know a movie is bad when you're revealing the best joke in the whole movie in that one little segment there. And it's just, like, there's stupid stuff in this movie all the way through. Like, there's a whole segment, there's a pointless segment, you see it in the trailer, where, you know, Ashton Kutcher's character has to comfort Carmen Electra and Molly Shannon because Carmen Electra thinks she has breast cancer, which means that you gotta touch her boobs and all that type of stuff. And then, of course, Tara Reid's gonna come on in and think there's a big misunderstanding. He's just like, I'm just checking to see if she has breast cancer. And it's just like jokes like that. Even the joke at the end of the trailer, where the dad is where the boss is just standing there while Ashton Kutcher's insulting. It's just like, okay, come on, get to the punchline. Like, it's not even a good punchline to begin with here. Like, it almost it shocks me that this was a David Zucker film. This felt like a film that he was kind of forced into doing, and just feels like it's completely devoid of what makes him a good filmmaker as a whole, a good comedic filmmaker. And this is just a bad movie, man. Like, even though I like David Zucker's films a lot, this is one of those ones that I went back and looked at, and it was just kind of like, wow, this thing does not hold up well at all, and it's really not that funny, and just really, really bad. But on the plus side, he would redeem himself a couple months later with Scary Movie 3, but we'll eventually get to that one when we get to October. And look, as much as I don't like this movie, it certainly beats the crap out of the next movie we're about to talk about, and oh boy. Oh, this one was a rough one. Yeah, so we've been talking about how this year in particular was the year where you had white people trying to be black, and that was the main focus of the movie, and it started off with Bringing Down the House, then we got Head of State, then we got Malibu's Most Wanted, and each one got lower and lower and lower in quality and enjoyment factor, and those three are Citizen Kane compared to the next movie I'm about to talk about here, and that is Marcy X. Brace yourselves, people, because some of this stuff is just watch.
Life was all about her family, her charities, and her friends. But all of that is about to end. Controversy is erupting over the new CD by gangster rap star Dr. S.
Dr. S in person. We can work together.
To work.
Marcy cares. Marcy loves. Marcy saved her father's life. Go talk to him for your father. Ringo. I've given you one chance to clean up your act.
To appear as a gangster.
Gangsta. Yeah. Welcome to our auction to benefit Quick Fit Up. Children with no feeling in their arms.
This is whack.
That means bad. Who knew?
You're out of your element, babe, because you're not real.
If I can get real, will you sincerely apologize?
What you gonna do? You gonna rap fuck?
I'll say, hi, I'm Sophia. Let me tell you how I feel. I'm just not very musical, although I do love Lion King.
Oh my god, that was horrible. So in this movie, Lisa Kudrow stars as Marcy Fell, a spoiled Jewish-American princess who's forced to take control of her father, Ben's hardcore rap label, Felony Assault, when he suffers a stress-induced heart attack due to the controversy surrounding the label's release of Shoot Your Teacher by Dr. S. To rescue her father's plummeting stock, Marcy attempts to tone down the rapper's bad boy image, the rapper being played by Damon Wayans. Over time, the unlikely pair falls in love, and just as conservative Senator Mary Ellen Sprinkle, played by Christina Baranski, vows to banish Dr. S and his offensive lyrics from the airwaves forever. I could not believe how bad this movie was. I mean, Richard Benjamin's made a lot of good movies. He's made some good films that have been really good, like some movies like My Favorite Year. You know, he made that film. I like The Money Pit. It's a silly movie, but a fun film nonetheless. He also did Mermaids. He did stuff like Mrs. Winterbourne. But then he makes those movies where you go, what the hell were you thinking? Like Milk Money, the heartfelt story about these three young kids whose main goal in the entire movie is to go to the big city, hire a prostitute, and see her naked. That's literally the plot of that movie. And but as bad as that is, this is even worse. And the funny thing is, we talked about Head of State. Guess who was originally offered the role of the Dr. S in this movie? Chris Rock. He turned it down as he did not like the script, and Damon Wayans is probably thanking him for that, but he's also probably thinking to himself, go f*** yourself for making me do this shit. And this is, I mean, those jokes alone should be everything that says how bad this movie is. And I forgot to mention, this is produced by Scott Rudin. He's done a ton of movies that we like. You know, No Country for Old Men, South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, Team America, World Police, The Addams Family movies. Speaking of The Addams Family movies, Paul Rudnick, the writer of those movies, and In and Out, wrote this script. Like, clearly you see the problem here. You got all these older white people trying to write a movie that's supposed to appeal to a mix of mostly a black demographic, because you literally have to have a lot of stuff in this movie centering around this black rapper and his fan base. And like, Shoot Your Teacher, like, That's the kind of stuff that would be seen on a Nickelodeon Kids TV show, a live-action TV show, or a Disney Channel live-action show. Like, this is pathetic. This is absolutely pathetic, and everything about this movie is not only offensive to black people, it's offensive to white people, it's offensive to everybody. Everybody is offended, but it should be offended by this movie, because every single portrayal in this movie is probably the most stereotypical, the most blandest, the most cringiest comedy you will ever see in your life. Like, it's amazing that Richard Benjamin still had a career after this. In fact, I mean, okay, technically not the best, not a great career overall, but he did at least rebound the year later with The Goodbye Girl, the remake of The Goodbye Girl for TNT. But other than that, though, it's just like, this is the thing that probably killed his career overall, and it's just like, it's baffling how Lisa Kudrow and Damon Wayans still had careers after this. Lisa Kudrow in particular, because Lisa Kudrow, you know, when she made stuff outside of Friends, she was at least smart enough to know what films she would be involved in, and not just take a bland script in general. Like, you know, yeah, there'd be an Analyze That here and there, but she was also in the first Analyze This. She was in stuff like The Opposite of Sex, you know. She's in Wonderland that comes out a little bit later on in the year. I mean, she knows how to pick her movies, and then she says, I'll take this film, and it's one that literally could have killed her career. And, like, I bet you when she was on Friends, and, you know, David Schwimmer and Matt LeBlanc and Matthew Perry were all talking about who had the worst movie come out around that time period, at least she can easily say, I win, because here's this garbage movie that is so... It's a mess. It's an unbelievable mess of a film that nobody should have said yes to. And the fact that somebody put $20 million in this movie, for a $20 million movie, which is not that big of a budget for this, it just feels like they wasted so much money on this, thinking that this was going to be a success, and it just was not. It was a film that was such a colossal failure on so many levels. It's almost as bad as Soul Plane. That's how bad this movie is. And Soul Plane's pretty bad, but at least Soul Plane had actors whose careers rebounded nicely since then. This film feels like a film that just was made by tone-deaf people. This feels like a movie made by a marketing campaign. Like, you know how commercials nowadays feel like they're so bland and clearly have no idea how to market to specific audiences? That's how this movie feels like. This movie feels like a film that was made by a committee of what specific groups will like in a film, and like what's the most inoffensive comedy we can do, but which also may be seen as offensive. Like, it's like they took all those different elements and just put it into this film, and the end result is a colossal failure on so many levels. This is not only one of the worst movies of the year, but one of the worst comedies ever made. This thing makes Malibu's Most Wanted and Head of State and Bringing Down the House look like frickin' masterpieces compared to this garbage right here. And like I said, this is the bottom of the barrel for that category of movies where you have these white comedians and white people in general trying to be black, and this is the bottom of the barrel. This is the absolute worst of the worst, and it's not even close. So yeah, that's Marcy X. And now that we reached the bottom of the barrel, let's go ahead and move back up the roller coaster again. Let's get to some good stuff. Let's go to the next movie we have here, and that is 13.
In January 2002, filmmaker Catherine Hardwicke and 13-year-old Nikki Reed set out to write a script about the inside story of one girl's coming of age.
Nikki and I tried to get that energy, what it is to be 13.
1, 2, 3, go. 13, starring Academy Award winner Holly Hunter and Evan Rachel Wood, is being called a riveting, razor-sharp portrait of the way women live now.
Everybody will go through this, so why not just be as honest as possible?
13 is a must-see motion picture experience. Entertainment Weekly says the director works with such flair and fury, it's as if the camera were jutting out of her heart. The New Yorker calls it a burning experience of desperation and fleeting exhilaration. 13 is astonishing, scalding, unflinching.
I love you and your brother more than anything in the world.
13.
Hey, what do you know? A movie that actually shows that Catherine Hardwicke was a good director at one point before Twilight ruined her. So this is a film that's loosely based on the early life of co-writer and star Nikki Reed, and follows Tracy, a 7th grade student in Los Angeles, played by, I believe, Evan Rachel Wood, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Evan Rachel Wood. And she begins dabbling in substance abuse, sex and crime, and befriending a troubled classmate, played by Nikki Reed. And also Holly Hunter is in the film, and was well received when it came out, but it caused controversy because of the depiction of youth drug use, including inhalants, marijuana, LSD, alcohol, underage sexual behavior, self-harm. But, excuse me, ooh, good lord. But I thought that was kind of the point of the movie. I mean, that's really what this whole movie is about. It's supposed to be a story about how young teenagers get involved in drug use and how their whole lives just start to go downhill pretty quickly. And that's kind of the point. I mean, this is what Euphoria did nowadays. But this was like 20 years before Euphoria. And this was also around that time when a show like Skins also kind of did the same thing. But when we brought it here to America, we completely butchered that. But I mean, I could see exactly where they're coming from with the whole idea of, oh, you shouldn't use these young drug users in this movie. But that's the point of the movie, man. It's supposed to be a cautionary tale about what could happen. This is based on the life of this actress, Nikki Reed, who co-wrote the script with Catherine Hardwicke. And it's a really good film, featuring a lot of great performances, a lot of great visual elements. And it's not afraid to go that dark level that it needs to go down. It's a film that very is a cautionary tale about what happens when you take the chances with these drugs and all that, and look at what happens to yourself. And like, it's a really engaging film that just still holds up as many years later. It's a film that I think deserves a lot more attention, and I think it did get the proper attention it deserved. It got nominated for several Golden Globes and Oscars. Holly Hunter got an Oscar nomination for this, and rightfully so. It's a film that's very well made. It's a film that is intense. It's not afraid to show you the cold, hard truth, and it's a film that pulls no punches in the end. It's a really engaging film, and one I definitely do recommend. It's one that I would say definitely check out. Yeah, definitely check this movie out, because it definitely is worth it in the long run. So, and also, you get to see an early film debut for Vanessa Hudgens. This is actually her acting debut in here. I just noticed that. But let's go ahead and wrap this up by taking a look at our last film, and that's Shia LaBeouf and Amy Smart in The Battle of Shaker Heights.
There are battles that change history, that create heroes, that define courage. This is not one of those battles.
She really isn't a good time. Tell your mother to pick us up in an hour.
It's not my fault you guys suck.
Meet Kelly, weekend war reenactor.
War is hell.
Well, then why do you do it?
I feel you're never more alive than when you're faced with simulated death.
His mind, he has conquered many armies.
Do you think it's brave? Getting dysentery? Eating another ration of spoiled Franken beans? Well, yeah.
From executive producers Ben Affleck and Matt Damon comes the winner of this year's Project Greenlight.
That's it for today, folks. Join us next week for the attack on the Siegfried Line.
The Battle of Shaker Heights.
So Shia LaBeouf plays a young war reenactor who makes a friend on the battlefield who helps him use strategy to take on his high school enemy. And driven by newfound confidence, he seduces the friend's fetching older sister, played by Amy Smart, and risks the friendship. Reality intervenes when the illness of his ex-addict father forces the anger his irony masks to the surface, and he decides if staying in the fantasy world is worth the consequences. Now, this is a film that was also produced by the same people that did the Project Greenlight thing, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, where they did the movie Stolen Summer the year before. And I really knew about this movie mostly from the fact that I saw trailers for it on, E! Back in the day had Coming Attractions, and they used to show this trailer a lot on TV. And it got me kind of interested to see what the movie was all about. And I was really glad that I got the chance to see it, because it is a fun little gem here. It's probably one of Shia LaBeouf's most underrated movies, honestly. It's a film that is very funny, but it isn't afraid to take chances when it needs to. It has good elements between, the dramatic elements as well as the comedic elements as well. Plus, it's got a great cast too. Besides LaBeouf and Smart, you got Shiri Appleby, Catherine Quinlan, William Sadler, Ray Wise, Michael McShane, Anson Mount, Hattie Winston. A really good cast in general here. A really fun concept overall, and it's a really good film. It's a film that I found a lot more to admire from this than the last Project Greenlight movie, and it's amazing that these guys didn't do anything of noteworthiness after this, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they did anything of... Let me see here. No, this was the only thing that they did, I guess. Even the writer of this, I don't think has really done anything of noteworthiness. No, I mean, this was just literally the one thing they did, and it's kind of an underrated little film. I was really actually kind of surprised at how much I enjoyed it when I finally got a chance to see it. And the trailer did definitely live up to what I thought it was going to be. It's a fun, coming-of-age comedy that shows a lot of potential for Shia LaBeouf in a year where he already... Ugh. Good lord. I don't know what's going on with me right now, but, you know, Shia LaBeouf was in Holes, getting back to the topic at hand, Shia LaBeouf was in Holes earlier in the year, and, you know, you saw those flashes of what his career would eventually become, and I think this is another film that definitely shows the growth of him as a leading actor coming into play here. It's a really good film. I do really enjoy it a lot. I think it's a criminally underrated film. It's definitely one you should definitely check out. The Battle of Shaker Heights.
Disabled for 23rd spring. For 23 days.
This thing has been around for thousands of years.
That's too late.
And nothing has been able to kill it.
Welcome to day 23.
All you kids, get down! Is it dead?
Looks dead to me. Creepers 2, start flying up.
So this is supposed to be every 23 years this thing's supposed to come out. So when this stuff's supposed to have been coming out in 2024? I mean, think about it. But no, this is Jeepers Creepers 2, where you once again have the Creeper, a demonic creature and mysterious serial killer who pursues a school bus filled with high school students. You have Ray Wise appearing as Jack Taggart, a farmer who seeks to hunt down and kill the Creeper as revenge for his younger son, who the Creeper had murdered the same week. And pretty much the same movie as the last film, only not as good, if it was any good whatsoever. It just feels like a film that they were trying so hard to create the next great franchise, horror movie franchise character with, you know, they wanted the Creeper to be up there with people like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and this just wasn't it, man. And it was a film that, it's got everything that you could ask for. It's a film where you have all the cliched horror movie characters, you know, everything's in here. Nothing is really all that exciting. The Creeper's not even that creepy, to be honest with you. Just looks like a guy who's just like, he's like painted in black and just has the mustache, like the mustache and the goatee and the beard and all that. Just like, he's not creepy at all. I mean, he really is not. It's just a character that just feels like someone just ran out of ideas and said, okay, let's just make a guy, and then we'll paint him all in black, because that's the easiest way we can do this. And there's nothing scary about this thing whatsoever. There's nothing that exciting. None of the characters in here are exciting to watch. The main heroes are not that great. It's just not a good movie. It's a film that just really is, it's that movie that you see on opening weekend, you take the day out to go see it, and then you hope to get some tail after that, if you will, and you never talk about this movie ever again, but you have the memories of going out with somebody really good looking. This is a date night film. It's a date night film where you're not going to this movie to see the movie. You're going there to do other things besides watching the movie, and yeah, end result here is not that great. It's a movie that is just, it's been there, done that type of stuff. It's not scary. It's not creepy. It's a very cliched-riddled horror film. Jeepers Creepers 2. What more can you say about it except avoid it like the plague? So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the second movie we have this week, the last movie we have this week too, Party Monster. And you want to see what Kevin McAllister's been up to since Home Alone ended?
I think it's so important to begin with a bang, don't you?
One day, I realized I didn't want to have to get up in the morning and go to work. I'm Michael Allen, king of the club kids. I want you to teach me how to be fabulous. Don't dream it, be it. He's a drug dealer. Don't you want to know how I got rid of the problem? Okay, Mr. Psycho Killer. I'll play along. You're going to have to pay for all this. Because of me, people know who you are. I'm decided to make you my first superstar.
He has a drug addiction. No joke. This is the first movie from Macaulay Culkin since Richie Rich in 1994. There was that period where he was everywhere, and then after 1994, he just kind of disappeared off the earth and didn't do anything. No movies in particular. This was his big return, big comeback, if you will. And you have him playing a drug-addled king of the club kids, Michael Alec, and tells the story of the rise and fall of the infamous New York City party promoter. And Of course, hilarity and chaos ensues. You have him, you have Seth Green, Chloe Sevigny, Wilma Valderrama, Natasha Lyonne. It's a very odd film to return on, but you know what? You know, it shows that, hey, Macaulay Culkin is showing that, hey, I'm not the kid from Home Alone anymore. I could be somebody else, and he puts on a hell of a performance in here. Too bad the rest of the movie isn't worth it in the long run. It's a film that, it's one of those movies where it wastes good performances on a film that is very bland and nothing all that exciting and kind of offensive at times in terms of what they're trying to accomplish here. It's a film that doesn't really know what kind of a direction it wants to go with. I think it just sold on the idea that, hey, the kid from Home Alone is all grown up, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's pretty much what the selling point of the movie is. And sure enough, the film itself delivers a film that has some good performances to carry the load, but other than that, though, it's a really lackluster film in general. And but again, you watch it to see Macaulay Culkin in a role you've never seen him before, and I mean, now you can accept him in this. Rather, you can accept him in something like The Good Son, where he was still that kid from Home Alone, playing in a role where he probably shouldn't have been in there. But this, it's worth it just to watch Macaulay Culkin do something different outside of his norm. But other than that, though, it's really not that great of a movie, and really, you can probably find the best stuff online anyway. So I'd probably say just skip it, honestly. But watch the performance by Macaulay Culkin, and I think you'll find some value in it whatsoever. So, Party Monster.